Follow that bouncing ball. We're going to try and see if we can figure out how to make a bouncing ball animation in After Effects. For some reason, we're not working in Before Effects. We're only working in After Effects. I don't know why. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to see if we can't figure out how to make a bouncing ball. The first place we're going to go is Adobe Illustrator. I am going to get this bouncing ball. So that, as you well know, in Illustrator, you go, oh, I've already wrecked it. What I did was draw half of a circle, draw a circle, get my scissors tool, chop that puppy in half, doink, doink, throw that half away. So long, grab that, go to Effect, 3D, and Materials, and we want to revolve that, and I'm going to turn on my button here so I can see what I'm doing. Revolve 360 degrees, and you got lots of other gizmos that you can do to that. A couple of things I want to mention. In materials, you got crazy collection of great materials from Substance that they have taken over. So you can do a ball that just about anything you can imagine. You've also got control over the lighting. You can add lights to this thing down here. There's a plus sign. You can color the lights right there. You can change the intensity of the ambient light. Amazing collection. The other thing I just want to quickly mention is that you'll notice I have shaped my artboard to more or less center this ball. In other words, when I import this into After Effects, it's going to come in with the page size with it. And I want that to be about the same because I want this to be fairly compact. I want no extra frame around the outside, just the ball itself. I hope that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is save as wood ball 3. Sure, why not? And put that there. And it says, you want an Illustrator file? And I go, yeah, I do. This is so cool. So then we're going to switch back into After Effects. I hope you know how to get to this window. Basically what we've got is I've started a new project. I'm ready to make a new composition inside my new project. So in here, what I want to do is hit new composition. It's going to say it's going to be 1920 by 1080, 24 frames a second, and it's going to be 5 seconds long right there. Background color is black. There's a bunch of other fussy things in here that we could play with if we want, but for the most part, that's going to be okay. Okie dokie. There, I've got a composition which looks the same. Nothing really happened, except I now have a timeline across the bottom. So there's my 5-second timeline with, so far, nothing happening in it. Let's get some toys in our toy box. So we're going to import file, woodball 3. So you see it's a native Illustrator file. Open that guy up. I want to import it as footage and merged layers. In other words, if there were multiple layers in this Illustrator file, I could bring 1 or 2 or several in, but I want to merge all the layers and bring it in as footage. Okay, shows up over here. I get a little preview of it here at the top of the project window. This is like the toys in my toy box right here, the wood ball over here. Nothing's still happening on my composition window or my timeline. So let's drag the wood ball over here onto the composition window. Again, I just want to mention, you'll notice that this is pretty good about where that is. The size of the frame, the handles are on the outside, more or less centered around that. And this little guy, this is the anchor point. That little dude determines what we're going to animate. It's going to follow the path that we draw. The anchor point will follow that path. If I scale it, it will scale it from that point. If I rotate, it will rotate from that point. So the anchor point position is a big deal. If it's not where you want it, there's a tool right up here called Pan Behind Anchor Point Tool that you can click and say, give me the anchor point and move it. I want to rotate from over here. Now that ball will spin around that anchor point. I don't want it to do that, but maybe you do. So that's how you do it. Back to this guy. Selection tool up at the top toolbar is also your V key, and it will give you that control back. And also, I like to go back here every once in a while and say fit up to 200%. So now I've got my whole composition window fitting inside there. At this point, I am at 0 in my animation. I am at the very beginning. So you could say we're going to start with it, barely off the screen or something like that. You can start with it completely off the screen. So what we're going to change is the position of this ball. As you will see right here down on the timeline, open up that little triangle, open up that little triangle that says transform, and you can do things like change the position, change the scale, change the rotation, or change the opacity of this contraption, of whatever it is that you're looking at. So there's my content wood ball, and there, my friends, are the things that we can control. So what we're going to do is change the position of this ball over the course of 5 seconds. Let's go down here half a second, and we'll say I want that ball. Oh, nuts. I didn't tell you the right thing to do. I'm going to move that back there. Position is the thing I want to change. In order to do that, I have to tell it, I have to click this little stopwatch right here. Doink. And that puts a keyframe indicator right here on my timeline. At 0, this is where the position is. Then I come back to this way and say halfway up, half a second up, grab this guy and drag it. And there, my friends, are the frames. That little path right there, those little dots are the frames. And then we're going to say, okay, I want to move that up to this. And basically what we're going to try and do is fake the shape of this bounce as it goes. We're just going to try and, kind of guess at where that might have landed. We're kind of inventing physics here, aren't we? Now, if you find yourself thinking, this is crap, I can't believe we have to do it like this, you can fix it later. So we'll come back and mess with this path a bit. But right now we're just kind of laying out a rough path just to get kind of a sense of how to do this thing. So I'm just going to drop that there, put another one maybe there. We're dropping it, it's bouncing a little bit, so we're going to drop it a little bit as we go. I overshot my 4-second mark there, my 3.5 second mark right there. We'll drop that again. You see what it says, 3 minutes or 3 seconds and 12 frames. Because we're in 24 frames per second, 12 frames is half a second. And we'll do one more there and then one more at 4.5 seconds, and we'll just let that kind of tail off. So there's our animation. And if you press the space bar, it will play. There we go. So you can kind of see how it goes. It doesn't look very believable, does it? Right. So let's go back and fix that. I'm going to press my space bar again. The path is right there for us to look at. If you click on position, you can see there's all the buttons for where they go. If you find yourself thinking that should happen sooner, you can grab one of these guys and move it around. So you can change where something happens by moving it on the timeline, one individual position item. You can grab all the position items by just double clicking on position there, and now you see they all light up. So if I wanted to change them, if I want to whack the entire thing, that would be an easy way to do it. But one thing I didn't want to miss is this. I don't like the look of that. That it's just so sharp and angular. I want it to kind of, float a little bit, bounce a little bit. So I want curves in this. So if I get my pen tool, I know, the pen tool, you thought you got away from it because we're not in Illustrator. There's still one here. There's one in Photoshop. There's one in InDesign. They're everywhere. So grab your pen tool and look at this. This is so cool. Grab that curve and pull it out a little bit, and then you can get that kind of, a little bit of gravity happening inside this. We're making that ball kind of bounce up and then arc over the top and then fall down again. So that's I think that's one of the cooler things about this, being able to control exactly how that works. And then maybe we want to pull that out that way. And then I'm going to get V for my selection tool, grab that and drag it out to there. So that's what's going to happen. It's going to go drop off like that. The other thing I just wanted to mention, when the light turns green in front of you, and there are 2 cars in front of you, and you have to wait for the first one to go and slow, and then you have to wait for the second one to go, and then you can go. You don't all take off at the same time, all at top speed, right? You have to gradually accelerate. So the same thing is happening here. How can we set this up to gradually accelerate and then gradually decelerate at the end? This is so cool. Animation, keyframe assistant, easy ease. The slow start is called easy in. The slow end is called easy out. Easy ease does both. So I'm just going to turn that on, and it goes, okay, I can do that. So now if I hit my space bar, we'll see this guy follow that. You'll notice that I moved that one last one, and it was, okay, here we go. So I'm going to go back and fuss with that a little bit. But that you can see we've got a bouncing ball now. It doesn't rotate as it goes. So I want to change that. So that's one last thing I want to show you in this video. That lives right down here. Stop the animation already, would you? Jeez, I'm trying to work. And what I want to do is bring my timeline indicator back to the very beginning and say, at this point, I want to control rotation. Click. I have to click that little stopwatch to put a keyframe indicator right there. Then I'm going to bring it all the way back down to here and say at this point, I'd kind of like that to stop spinning. And now it's just going to, well, no, maybe I want to roll it all the way up to that point. So then we can do two things. I've got this possibility. I can change the number of rotations here, or I can change the degrees of rotation here. I think what I'll do is say in that space of 4.5 seconds, I want it to rotate 10 times, just like that. So you can just grab that and scrub back and forth. And now if I spin that, and look at that, the ball is spinning around on its anchor point, following the path. So hopefully that's helpful about the things that we can do inside this program, and actually what we can do inside Illustrator to make the elements that we can bring in here. And then what you can do, I'm so looking forward to seeing what you do with this, is add them to a timeline, make them bounce the way you want them, make them move, add in the easy ease. Hopefully all those toys are helpful for you. See ya.